All right, last week I told you about Mom. I'm going back down to Miami for the funeral service. I elected to write and deliver the eulogy at church. It's all written, edited. I'm actually looking forward to it. I really poured my heart and soul into it. So I'm looking forward to that. Just hope I can, keep it together while reading it. Mentioning that because I did last week's episode, I feel like maybe I'm cheating you guys just a little bit because a lot going on. It wasn't just Mom. I told you I went down for my nephew's wedding. So the weeks there's been a lot going on. Preparation, preparing to fly. I'm not the greatest air traveler. It gives me a little bit of agita. So tonight's going to be another little kind of throwaway, but I want to get it up because today's Thursday. Obviously, you're watching now, so it's Sunday. I'm on my way to Manhattan today because as opposed to flying out of Albany like I did for the wedding weekend, I'm going out of JFK. And some generous friends offered I could go down. I'm flying Monday afternoon. They offered I could go down, crash at their apartment, and then I'll take the proverbial train to the plane on Monday. So I want to film this tonight and get it up before Sunday because the weekend's just going to get crazy. All right? So come on over to the stove. Let me show you what's happening. Again, don't expect much, but I will say when I get back, there's going to be some great stuff coming. I already have several shows lined up. So let's get over to the stove. Not trying to cheat you, but let me show you what's going on. Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's do it. What's happening tonight is I made a quickie pot of chili, and this was almost going to be the episode. But I was trying to remember, and I didn't quite go back through the shows, but did we ever do chili? Because it's a big part of my life. Chili con carne. But I didn't want to do this one as the episode because this isn't, if I make a real pot of chili, it's an all-day Saturday kind of thing. I get guajillos, dried guajillos, I soak them, and I go all out. This was a throw together because I was shopping last night and I got a London broil, shoulder London broil. It was cheap. It was on sale. It was like $3.99 a pound. So I got like a pound plus steak. It cost me $4.25, I think, to make one little pot of chili. Now sometimes I'd grind the meat and cube it, but this one I just did cubes just to save time and get it on the stove. So this is kind of a half-baked chili, I'll say, but it's pretty tasty, I gotta say. Oh, it's going to be good. And I had in my freezer some of this summer's tomatillos that I had already made into a salsa verde. So there's some salsa verde in there, some tomato. I like the long hot chili peppers. I should have saved one to show you, but again, this is not a chili episode. In fact, I cheated. I just threw pinto beans in, dried pinto beans in, right out of my pantry. Normally I would soak them overnight, but I'm just letting them cook because the steak will take so long to tenderize, okay, that the beans should cook too. It's the other reason I didn't want this to be the episode, because it's 7 p.m. on the dot, and I try to eat well before I go to sleep. I try to be done eating before 8 o'clock, and then I don't eat anything after. So this is going to probably be on the stove till at least 9 p.m. to tenderize that steak and those beans. But that's my lunch at work tomorrow. I'll probably have it Friday night for dinner. Making a beautiful fish stew for Saturday. I invited some friends over, my neighbors. So I'm going to make a seafood stew with some sourdough, garlic bread, etc. Nice salad. So, what am I going to do tonight? This was, like I said, a small pot of chili. So I didn't need all the tomatoes. I had this can of crushed tomatoes. And I think I mentioned last week, Bill brought me again, I have a box of those beautiful homemade ravioli from Rossi's Deli in Poughkeepsie. So I've been real good with the carbs. I had a little piece of sourdough pita this week. Other than that, no bread, no pasta. Been having my protein, fruits. So I don't think a few ravioli will hurt me tonight. Problem is, hard for me to eat just a few ravioli. But that's what I'm going to do. Some ravioli. Now, normally with the ravioli, I want my, San Marzano DOP Romas. So this isn't going to be top-notch, top-of-the-line sauce, but it'll work. And normally with San Marzanos, the really good ones, and particularly the ones I grow, I like to do marinara sauce. Simple. Just garlic, just the homegrown garlic, which, by the way, I used my last head. I had to purchase some garlic. But hey, it's February. Month and a half. 2024 garlic will be popping out of the ground. It's under there sleeping now. So I'll do several garlic cloves. As I was saying, I generally, with the really nice tomatoes, like to keep it super simple and just do garlic, some herb, basil, oregano, and the tomatoes. I don't like to mess with them too much. But since these are, middle of the road crushed tomatoes, I'm going to do a little bit of shallot as well. I have some shallot here, and I'll start with a little bit of that and garlic and then the crushed tomatoes. So let me prep these up, and then we'll pop them in the pot. All right, let's get this little pedestrian marinara sauce on. I've already begun heating up my pot. Remember, always heat it a little, or at least warm it before your oil goes in. Extra virgin olive oil. This is marinara. One of the simplest, in my opinion, most delicious sauces in the world. So, got my shallot and my garlic. Start with the shallot. There's that gentle sizzle you want to hear. That means we're at the right temp. Always start with your onion or shallot or what other aromatics you have, carrots, celery, peppers, before you add the garlic. You don't want it to burn. And what happens is, besides the oil, whatever vegetable you put in first is going to release some water into that oil. Pepperoncini, ever present. And what I did is I moved the chili over to the back burner, which is my lowest BTUs, because that's just going to go. And on this burner where it was, I'm getting my water boiling for the ravioli. Okay, so that should be good. Just want to get those translucent, softened up. And garlic. Aglio. Give the garlic just a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, so it doesn't burn. Just want it to release fragrance into the oil. And the pomodori, crushed tomatoes. And rinse out the can with just a little water. That gets the rest of those tomatoes. And that's a bit too much water for the amount of tomatoes. But I think I'm good. Let's season her up. A little salt. We've got the pepperoncini in there, but a little black pepper pretty much goes on everything on my stove. A little of the Summers dried basil, right? I've talked to you about this. If you dry it properly, you crush that, all those oils are there. That smells like fresh basil over the summer. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it holds flavor, trust me. One thing I will say is I am going to have to go with the store-bought oregano. However, when I get back from Miami, we're moving into second week in February. It's time to get some seeds started under that lamp. So we're going to start having some pre-garden shows. Got a lot coming, like I said. And I'll be getting all my herb seeds going on the windowsill. Time to start the peppers. By the end of Feb, start the tomatoes. Okay, let's give this a quality controller. Again, this is not a sauce that I'm serving to company. This is me. As I mentioned in the show before the mom show, remember when I was leaving for Miami, I cleared out the house? I'm not going as crazy with the fridge. I'll leave some stuff in there. But yeah, it's going to be a perfectly respectable sauce. These, by the way, this La Fed I get. They also have a semi-DOP one. All these companies, Cento, they have their sort of regular, but their whole plum tomatoes, if you get the DOP, are excellent. But I buy crushed tomatoes like this for, your pots of chili, your soups. I'll use them Saturday in my fish stew. Good to have on hand. You don't want to use your top shelf tomatoes for this kind of cooking. Well, for this kind, you do want to use them actually. I mean, for, the only reason this is out is because of the chili. And I was like, oh, I don't need the whole can. Let's have a couple ravioli tonight. It's actually pretty good. All right, 20 minutes marinara. I'll see you back here with Rossi's Deli's cheese ravioli. Okay, it's been 15, almost 20. Let's get a little salt in our pasta water. Let's taste our sauce for salt. It's actually not bad. Just a couple of grains, I think, just to bring it together. That's actually a pretty good sauce, considering these tomatoes. Start with some aromatics, right? Shallot, garlic. Cook them in a good extra virgin. Tomatoes are what they are, but they're good. Then your seasonings, your salt, pepper, herbs. You got yourself a nice marinara. There we go. It always amazes me. I've said this before, it bears repeating. Salt is not just to make things salty, okay? Salt is, I started that giant book, Salt. I need to go back to that and finish it and actually read it. The history of salt, it's just amazing. Preservative, basically it was money, right? But it's not just for making things salty. It brings out all the other flavors. It melds flavors together. It brings out the liquids in the vegetables, capillary action, osmosis. It's amazing. And just that little bit, those few grains I put at the end, turned a good sauce into a better sauce. All right, that's good. I'll be back with the ravioli. Rossi and Sons, Poughkeepsie, New York. Great deli. Go there and get a sandwich. This is their homemade ravioli. These are herb ricotta, or basically what I would call cheese ravioli. Now the problem is, how many am I putting in this water? I'm going to eat too many. Whatever. I'll start with 6. Try to act respectable for the show, and then once this camera's off, who knows how many more are getting dumped in this water. Frozen solid, they go right in. And wait for them to float to the top. Here they come. And by the way, it's February 1st while I'm shooting this show. I did a mostly dry January. And again, as I mentioned on the show, generally during the week I chill. But it's Thursday, big travel weekend coming up, and there is never a time when I'm going to eat cheese ravioli and sauce without Vino Rosso d'Italiano. It's not going to happen. It's part of the dish as far as I'm concerned. Just as much as the grated cheese, this is as essential. So, saluti a tutti. You know what? I'm going to have to back up just to get in frame here. Saluti. And let's get those ravioli. They're floating. It's okay that they were up top for a few minutes because, again, they were rock frozen solid. And again, I joked about it with the beat when the mystery guest was here with my sister. For her, the ravioli was a little too al dente. To each their own. Bean, the next time you visit, I'll take care of you. But I like a tooth on pasta. They were fine for me. I like a real chewy, especially ravioli, but any pasta. I've been accused of it before by other people. I take no offense. You know, I'm doing things without even looking at my friends. Excuse me. Here we go. Getting way ahead of myself. There we go. Let's get some sauce on these little beauties. Rossi's Deli. And you never want to over sauce these. You don't want them swimming. That's what I like to see. And you know, it's beautiful when you have the fresh garden basil. We don't have it, but we do have Parmigiano Reggiano. And as a matter of fact, it's not often I have them both in the house at the same time. But thanks to that recent bout of carbonara, I'm going to add just a little bit of Pecorino Romano. Couple more chili flakes. I could sprinkle some of the dried basil, but not essential. And you know, I didn't plan this for this, but now that I'm doing it, I'm realizing this is perfect in honor of Mom as well, because this was my favorite childhood meal. She made me cheese ravioli every year on my birthday. Oh yeah. Sauce is great. Now, I suppose you could be a little more polite society and cut them in half. To me, each one of these ravioli is a bite. But if you were in mixed company, you wanted to be polite, you'd cut them in half. Said a few episodes back, I wasn't going to do that favorites thing. But in this case, it's completely justified and vindicated. Cheese ravioli with marinara sauce is undoubtedly my favorite dish of all time. Homemade ravioli are the best, but if you're up near Poughkeepsie, Rossi's Deli, man, these are top notch. This is something Mom would have served. We used to get them at down on Houston Street. What was it, Randazzo? Jeez, I don't even remember. The guy on Arthur Avenue or on 187th Street, I think, around the corner from Arthur Avenue, was fabulous. But Rossi's Deli to have right in the area, not bad at all. Well, back off to Miami. We got lots of stuff coming up. Spring is approaching. I'll see you all for the next episode. Come on, let's do it. It's only 7:30. Still have at least an hour plus to go. But let's see how this chili's coming along. A little piece of beef and a bean. See how tender we're getting.